Thank you for joining us today on Pack 14 for Prepare Wicomico as we share emergency preparedness information for all our citizens, residents, and visitors here in Wicomico County. We have David Shipley, our Emergency Services Director, here with us today, who's going to share a lot of great information. David, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
I always enjoy coming down to do the show.
So September is coming up, National Preparedness Month. Tell us just a little introductory information about Preparedness Month.
Well, it is preparedness. One of the most important things about Preparedness Month is for you to identify in your area where you live what might be the most significant threats that you may have to deal with. And in our county, that is hurricanes and tropical storms, flooding, tornadoes, and severe thunderstorms. And I would like to say that severe thunderstorms and tornadoes often go together because tornadoes are often spawned at the back end of thunderstorms. Not all the time, but sometimes.
And then, speaking of those two events, we had a tropical storm last year and we had tornadoes.
That is correct. We have had tornadoes standalone as well as with storms, and wouldn't be surprised if we had a hurricane event too that tornadoes could be associated with. Remember this. Tornadoes are truly nature's most violent storm. It's not a hurricane. Tornadoes can have winds up to 300 miles per hour. Now that's extraordinary, but on the Safford-Simpson scale, they can go that high.
Yep. And the tornadoes, especially at night, are vulnerable because our residents are sleeping. So they need, we'll talk a little bit about the emergency supply kit, but let's talk briefly about that emergency radio, NOAA radio that would wake up the people in the middle of the night for a tornado warning.
Yes, now we're going to talk about I'll talk about the NOAA radios just specifically, but when we get to the supply kit, I'm going to tell you that should be in your supply kit. The NOAA weather radio is a radio that works both off commercial and battery power. That is very significant, okay? You will always be, and it's very good to turn on. If you're not going to use it any other time, it can be programmed to Wicomico County alerts, okay? And I'll tell you where to go in a moment to get that. And what it does is it gives you information about impending threats, immediate threats, but it also talks about threats that are forthcoming, and it'll talk about preparation, response, and recovery. So it's really important to have that radio because of the ability to listen without commercial power if you lose it.
That's great. And you mentioned that, so let's tell the viewers a little bit about this emergency supply kit that FEMA and that we support recommending that everybody gets an emergency supply kit.
Yes, one mention regarding the NOAA weather radio is if you go to our website, it shows you how to program it to receive the information just for Wicomico County, and I'll give you that website in a moment. But yes, the emergency supply kit is something we all talk about, okay? It's the supply kit that has 3 days worth of non-perishable food and a gallon of water for everybody. And don't forget your pets. They eat and they drink water also. So some of the most important things that are in there are a first aid kit. There's also a flashlight. You want to have extra pair of glasses, prescriptions, medications, that kind of stuff. But the most important one too is that NOAA weather radio. I want to make sure that that's part of that kit. Now, if you want more details about both the NOAA weather radio and also the kit, you can go to my department's website, which is www.wicomicocounty.org/ES.
And let's touch a little bit on that water again. We want them to have a gallon of water per person per day. Is that what we're still telling everybody?
Yes, and I can give you some advice. You can go online, and I'm not promoting any specific product, but you can get a bladder that goes in your bathtub that will hold 30 or 40 gallons of water. It's potable water out of your bathtub spigot that you can put in there, and actually it has a pump on it, and you can pump it out. So you could usually, I will say this to you, my family uses it if we ever get into that kind of situation. I have 3 of them at home, the bladders that I can deploy. So I'm not promoting any particular brand, but that could be a real good way to accommodate the water needs for your family.
Yep. And that's a good suggestion. And if they don't have that, just simply fill the tub up with water.
That's correct.
And make sure that the plunger's holding and top it off as the storm comes through the area. But that's great. That water is very important. The prescriptions, making sure your medications are full. It's important in those pets too. Don't forget the pets. And don't forget the pet medications if your pet takes medications.
The one thing that we have to depend on, the National Weather Service and the citizens of this county have to depend on my department for is to look at duration too of a storm. And that can be awful hard to predict. In 2020, they had storms that hit Texas that made landfall and stayed there for 2 and 3 days. that was never suspected. It just happened. So weather is a very tough animal, as to say, to figure out what's going to happen.
And we talked a little bit about the weather radio. We've got some other means to notify our residents of an emergency. One of them is the outdoor citizens warning siren system. So let's remind our viewers what that does for them.
Yes. Now, like you said, it's for outdoor use purposes only. There are 17 sirens. 14 of them are at fire companies, and 4 are maintained by my department. What you need to know is that when it goes off, and it will be used for imminent threats. One of the most important ones that we use it for are tornado warnings. In fact, the thing to know about it is we can set the sirens off for the whole county, or we can set them off for specific sections of the county. In fact, the last time we used it for a storm was we set it off twice in the same evening for the whole county, and then again, I think it was for the eastern part of the county. So we can do that. Now, it does not cover all of the county, but if you hear a sustained blast, and this is 2 minutes, and that is a long time. It's different than the fire company tones or sounds, sirens, because they go up and down, up and down. They're not a constant, steady sound. These are. When you hear that, you need to go inside immediately and tune to the news. Try to find out what's going on. We ask that you do not call 911 when you don't want to get flooded with the calls. And if we have a tornado event, I can assure you the media is going to break in and cover it. Okay, they will be there. One important thing to know about it is we test those sirens the first Monday of every month at 6:30. We only blow them for 10 seconds though. We just want to make sure the fire companies, when we check with them from the 911 center, say, yep, they came on. So when we do need them, they do work.
That's great. And we're going to take the opportunity now to play that siren. We have that on an audio tape. So we're going to take a break here with our Prepare Wicomico and thanking Pack 14 again for this opportunity. We're going to interject an opportunity for you to hear that siren at this time. Thank you for coming back and watching Prepare Wicomico here on Pack 14. We hope that information about the siren and an opportunity to hear what it sounds like is very beneficial, and we want you to share that message. As Director Shipley said, that is tested the first Monday of each month. It allows you to hear what the siren sounds like, as well as we promote it for being outdoor, but it would give you an opportunity to test that maybe you could hear that indoors if you were close to a location that Director Shipley mentioned. But again, it's an outdoor warning system, and we hope that little audio clip gave you an opportunity to hear what the siren would sound like during an emergency. So another thing that we have in the county, we have a mass notification system that dials out and calls people. So let's tell people how they can sign up for that and what that does for them in the county.
Yes, it's a citizens mass notification system that uses telephone, cell phone and landline, so you can do both. Now, and also it sends out emails, and it also sends out text messages. So you have 4 ways that you can get it. Now, if you want to receive it through cell phones, you have to register on my website that I had given. You go to that and you'll see a portable that says sign up for emergency alerts. That's very important. When we do that, that's very timely. When that is utilized, that means something is imminent, or something's happening, or it's going to happen. So that information is very timely when we push it out.
Yep. And we'll remind the viewers that we don't share that information. Director Shipley's department, it's kept secure. There's limited access with staff, and we don't send out that cell phone information. So if we're calling, that is very important, and it's imminent action that we want you to take.
Yes, we use it for imminent things, but we've also used it when we're looking for missing children, people who are suffering some mental incapacities, they walk away. The law enforcement is probably the most, is the agency that uses it the most, followed by us.
Right. So again, we just want you to feel secure when you go, as Director Shipley said, wicomicocounty.org/ES. Look for that sign up for cell phone alerts, and this is not shared with anybody, and you can choose your means if you want. Our new system is text, cell phone, call, and email. So you have all those at your fingertips. So please sign up. If they're on a landline phone, we get that information automatically through the phone company.
From the phone carriers, that is correct.
So that's great. So you have lots of information here to get prepared. So we've talked about the outdoor warning system, and we've talked about the NOAA weather radio and the fire sirens. So let's give the viewers some information about what zone they're in and evacuation, because that's one of the things we might ask our citizens to consider.
Yes, the Department of Emergency Services has identified 3 zones in the county, and I'm going to A, B, and C. They are associated with the Wicomico and the Nanticoke rivers. What we're doing is that we have identified areas that could be flooded because of tidal flooding, and then also some properties that can be impacted by storm surge produced by hurricanes and tropical storms. So, but it's only the Nanticoke and Wicomico rivers that these zones are associated with. Now, if you want to find out where the zones are at, there's a couple of places that you can go, and we suggest that you do it ahead of time. Okay, you could go to my site right now, the www.wicomicocounty.org/ES, and you'll see it right in the middle of the page. It's under current advisories. You click on that link there, and it's going to give you 3 choices. You can go see a PDF map. And if you live in Pittsville, you're not in one of the zones. Okay, it's very obvious to see that. Okay, we have it by address, and then you can go to knowyourzonemd.com. knowyourzonemd.com. So there's 2 ways that you can identify where you can do it. Go to my website or go to md.com. Now, I want to really affirm with folks, these are only local evacuations. You need to you know where the zones are, you can see them. You just have to get out of the zone when a recommendation is made for you to leave. Now, if you do that, what we would ask that you do and consider first, always, is to go to friends and family out of those zones, okay? Go to hotels and motels. Now, we will have a shelter of last resort opened, but you've heard me say it's a shelter of last resort. If you have some other accommodation or someplace else that you can go, we really are asking that you do that. You will not be turned away from the shelter. And one important thing about the shelter is that it's pet accommodating. If you have a pet, we will not turn you away. But again, we do ask that you try to go, because really we're talking about local evacuations here. You just have to drive out of those zones.
Right. And you mentioned shelters, so the ABC zone, you would put out an advisory by those means of website, press releases, and calling out to tell people to get out of the A, B, and C. You would tell them where the local shelter is and what time it opens.
Right.
And let's remind the viewers what some things they should bring to the shelter, because we're just going to provide some basic necessities. But what should they bring?
Well, what we would ask is really important is a sleeping bag. We would ask that you do that. Now, we'll give you a blanket, but the sleeping bag is your own personal property that, you may feel more comfortable in that when you're sleeping on a cot. You're going to get a cot and you're going to get a pillow. We would recommend that you also bring your own pillow if you can. If you're bringing a pet, we ask that you bring a pet crate. We also ask that you bring food with you for the pet if you can, okay? Now, you do not have to have a crate. I want to make that very clear. You do not have to have a crate in order of food. We are not going to turn you away. You will be brought in. We have made arrangements. I'll even anecdotally just tell you, we have 110 crates we take to the shelter of various sizes. So you will not be turned away. You want to bring potentially, like with your emergency supply kit, you want to bring your extra prescription glasses, prescriptions, okay, even toys for kids that they can play with, okay. Again, you can go to our website to look at an inclusive list of things that are there. But you will be provided 3 meals a day when you're there. It will be a safe location, and we want you to come if that's where you need to come. But we do ask if you have another location, one that I didn't mention that I just recalled, not only can you go to friends, family, and hotels, motels, but if you have a business, if you own a business that's out of the evacuation zone, maybe you haven't thought about that. Go to the business, and what's good about that, you have that 3-day supply kit that I talked about with the non-perishable food. This is where the bathtub might be a problem. But if you have your water and you have your kit, you pick it up and you go. You wouldn't want to show up at your neighbor's house, at your friends and family's house without food too, if you didn't have it. But these are some things that we've heard people say in the past. I'll just share those kind of anecdotal information with you.
Yep, well, that's great. Well, thanks for sharing all that information. Again, September is Preparedness Month. Go to the website, www.pac14.org/es for more information. As Director Shipley said, right in the center are all the current advisories. Don't forget, look at that, sign up for cell phone alerts. And another thing you can do is the website is able to be translated. There are links for Haitian Creole and Espanol Spanish. Also, if you go up to the very top, there's 113 other languages, but we have quick links for Spanish and Haitian Creole. Anything else that we want to add today, Director Shipley, to share with the group?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to being here next month.
Yep. So again, thank you to PAC-14 for allowing us this opportunity with the Wicomico County Department of Emergency Services and our Prepare Wicomico show to prepare you, our residents and visitors and guests, to Wicomico County in case of emergency.